Hi, it's Kevin Lobates here. So I thought I'd make a response video to some of the comments I got to my piece on taking a town and adding a cryptocurrency or token to it for services such as bus tickets or swimming pool vouchers or things like that. And the question that was asked a couple of times was would there be a problem with the energy consumption of a blockchain used to maintain such a system? So let's take a step back and look at the possible kinds of blockchains you could use. Now, a permissionless open blockchain like Bitcoin needs a consensus system that secures it, that anybody can join in with, and that's typically a proof of work system, and those are indeed very energy intensive. But would a town token system actually need to have an open permissionless blockchain? And I would argue that actually quite the opposite. It wouldn't want to have a permissionless one, because a town does not want its token system to turn into a speculative environment. So they do want to have control and to ensure a service rather than relying on the world's global population to run and maintain service. So I would say that for such a town system, the best thing would be to have a permissioned blockchain. However, unlike a, say, supply chain blockchain, you would probably want to have an open system rather than a private one, in that anybody from anywhere in the world may come to your town and want to buy some tokens, and then when they leave may want to sell them. So you need anybody to be able to read and write transactions to the blockchain. So the thing you're locking down here is who is allowed to effectively mine blocks, and there wouldn't be a block reward as such. And similarly, you want to limit who's allowed to issue tokens. So from the town's perspective, they need to be able to print more tokens if the economy lifts up or if more of them are in demand. This wouldn't actually cause deflation in the value of the tokens, because they're pegged to the services that they provide. So there's not a problem there either. Now, for my April Fool's joke this year, I launched a kidney and fava bean coin system, which does precisely that. It's public in the sense that anybody can sign up and get a wallet, and anybody can receive or send coins as they please. But what it did do was lock down who's allowed to actually mine and add the blocks. Now, you may then ask the question, well, why don't I use a database and have an API that allows that kind of activity? And that would form a practical solution for a town token system. But what it doesn't do is give people actual true ownership over their tokens. And maybe the town doesn't want to do that. If it doesn't want people to actually genuinely own their tokens, then they should probably use a database system. But if they actually want to allow people to possess their tokens in the way that they own a €5 note in their pocket, then they're going to need something like a blockchain. And there is a further complication, namely that if it's a permissioned blockchain, then you do run the risk of censorship, namely that if it's a town running, say, 3 or 4 servers for redundancy to mine blocks, the town could purposely set out to censor a particular token owner. Somebody buys, I don't know, €100,000 worth of bus tickets. The town could actually then say, right, well, we're just not going to permit transactions that use those 100,000 tokens to ever get onto the blockchain, and therefore those tokens become unspendable. So that would be a problem too. However, the way you can get around that is by ensuring that there are different entities who are running the servers. So it's permissioned in that you know who owns the server and who is mining, but you have a server at the town hall center, you have a server running at the transport center, you have a server running at one of the swimming pools, things like that, so that it's not all just in the hands of one department, you know, the IT department of the town council. So there's a few more thoughts on how a token system for a town could actually function, and I've also touched on why it's not going to be a problem in terms of mining costs, because you are not going to use a public, open, permissionless blockchain. You're going to have a certain level of restriction. I hope you found that interesting, and I'll see you in the next video soon. Bye for now.